Assalamu alaikum. I'll be showing you every single technique that I've been using as a beginner to an intermediate in order to learn FUSA Arabic. I'll be showing you reading, listening, writing and speaking techniques in order to help you to know where to start and how to progress from there. Now the first point, which is where the majority of people really struggle with, is finding a teacher. Now why this is such a big issue is usually because of three main reasons. One, they just can't seem to find a teacher in their area that is able to teach them face to face. Two, usually because they may be 40 or 50 or maybe even 20, right? But the teacher is teaching maybe 5-year-olds or 6-year-olds, so you're not really allowed to join in. Or three, the final reason, the classes that the teacher is offering may be too expensive. Now, while I do want to tell you how I found a teacher and how I managed to make progress from there, the first thing that is really, really important, which also goes in hand with finding a teacher, obviously, is understanding why it is so important. Because when you want to learn medicine, or you want to learn engineering or dentistry, you can't make as much progress if you don't have a teacher. You can't make as much progress as you like because, for example, right, imagine trying to learn medicine by yourself, trying to become a doctor without any guidance from someone who is already a doctor or someone who is retired from being a doctor. You will go in every single direction before you actually reach your goal. So when it comes to Arabic learning or learning a language, having a teacher is something that will boost your progress so much in comparison to you learning by yourself, because all of the mistakes that your teacher has made is already out of the window because they can already tell you how to avoid them and how to stay away from those mistakes so that you can make progress. Because, for example, even the Salaf of the past or even the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, when they didn't know something, they would always go to the most knowledgeable person that they could find in that specific field. Like, for example, the Salaf of the past, they would go to the most knowledgeable ulama of their time if they can, and then seek their advice from them. The Sahabas, they would go to the Prophet ﷺ for a matter that they were confused about. Or they would go to, for example, someone after the Prophet ﷺ had passed in order to get that knowledge from them. Because you trying to take this path by yourself, especially as well if you don't have some sort of community or group that you can study with, can be quite demotivating. Because it's like you are doing this by yourself and you don't have that positive reinforcement from others to help you grow your brotherhood and also grow in general as a Muslim. Now, how I found a teacher was pretty unexpected. Because back then, when I first started seeking knowledge and doing everything when it comes to Islamic studies, I was pretty introverted. Asking questions wasn't something that I was very much accustomed to when it came to Islam, because it was like the fear of being told that you just aren't serious or you're just too old to be asking these questions. How do you not know this? What are you doing? You're this age and you still don't know this. When it comes to this, don't let shyness prevent you from seeking knowledge or asking questions about where you can find a teacher in Arabic in person, especially at the right times. There's a very important narration in which Aisha radiallahu anha says, نِعْمَ النِّسَاءُ نِسَاءٌ أَنصَارِ لَمْ يَكُنْ يَمْنَعُهُنَّ الْحَيَاءُ أَنْ يَتَفَقَّهْنَ فِي الدِّينِ. Excellent are the women from the Ansar. They do not prevent shyness from them asking questions in understanding the religion. This could be us when it comes to asking questions about where to find a teacher in Arabic in real life. We may be a bit shy because we don't want other people to think bad of us or other things like this, but we have to understand that when you want something in this dunya, it's not going to be easy, it's going to be hard. You're going to have to struggle, you're going to have to make a lot of sacrifices. And by just asking the question, asking around, do you know anyone that is teaching Arabic, that can help you, accompanied with a dua where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just places the correct people in your life, should definitely help you in this matter. Now, the book I use, which is something that my teacher has put forward for the curriculum, is Al-Arabiyya Bayna Yadayk. Now, different teachers will have different curriculums. There won't be just one curriculum that everybody follows. Either way, you can still benefit from a lot of these books that people have. So if you have any book suggestions, let me know, guys. I'll be definitely interested to see them. So how I use this book is very simple. I'll show you some examples from recent times in how I have been able to use this book. So a recent homework that I had done not too long ago was in the As-Sihhatu section, which loosely translates to health, of this book, where a lot of words in relation to health and visiting the doctor was found. As you can see here, there are conversations on this side. So what would happen, in order to improve our speaking, which is the first point, we would read these conversations. I would read the blue parts or the orange part, and then my teacher would read the blue part. So while he reads this part and I read that part, we would exchange a conversation, and it would go on until the end of the text. And then he would ask me, what do you think this paragraph of people speaking, or these sentences, what do they mean? And I would give my own answer, and then we would go through what it actually means afterwards. Now, after some time, you know, the first few months, I would say the first year or first 9 months of me learning Arabic, these classes were done in English. And from there on, after 10 months, I would say, or 11, we would move on to doing immersion, learning in Arabic. Now, at this stage where you've just started with your curriculum journey and you've just started with, you know, learning with a teacher, don't focus too much on understanding everything at once. There will be tons of things that you don't understand, and that's okay. All you have to do is just ask tons of questions and take notes, because that's the only way that you'll learn. So while we're on the topic of speaking, just don't make this huge mistake that I made, which is having the limiting belief that I just can't speak and anything that comes out of my mouth will be wrong. It's okay to make mistakes. I remember while I was working, and there was this one person that was, I think it's from Egypt or Jordan, and he spoke Arabic. And at that time, I was maybe 7 months into my learning, or maybe 8 months. And I asked him, do you speak Arabic? Because I heard them speaking, he was speaking to his son in Arabic, I think. So I was like, oh yeah, they definitely speak Arabic or something. So I asked him, do you speak Arabic? And he was like, yes. So I remember telling him, like, let's have a conversation in Arabic. Let's try and speak. And I knew a fair amount of conversational words. But because I was just shy, I just didn't want to make mistakes. I didn't want to look bad. All I said was one phrase, which was, Kayfa usratuka? How's your family? And then he replied, I think, Ana bi khair. I don't remember fully, but he replied. And then that's it. I didn't say anything else. I didn't try and spark up a conversation. I just left it at that, because I was just scared of making tons of mistakes. I didn't want him to say, okay, what are you doing? You can't speak any Arabic. Your Arabic's trash. What are you doing? Just speak English. I was having all of these limiting thoughts, and a lot of people can avoid having these thoughts by just being okay with the fact that it's okay to make mistakes. When you make mistakes, you learn from that so that you don't repeat them in the future. And even if you do repeat them in the future, it allows you to have solidified knowledge in when you speak, obviously, so that you know, in the future, you can correct people even, or you can avoid making these mistakes altogether. Now, I am also making a community, inshallah, which will be releasing sometime in September or November, in which we'll have our own website and everything, where you can learn Arabic with people. And there's like a sister's side of like the website and like a brother's side, and you can like speak, converse, share your Anki decks, which is like a revision platform that you can use to practice your Arabic vocabulary and revise them. So I'm working on something like that. If you are interested, definitely sign up to the newsletter, which is in the description, so that you can benefit from that, inshallah. Now, the next point is listening. Why this is so important is because it will allow you to learn like you're literally a baby again. When you were a baby, you learned literally by just listening. You didn't learn by speaking to a teacher or speaking to your mom. Mom, please tell me how I can learn Arabic and give me the pen so I can practice. You weren't learning like that. You were learning through just listening and repeating phrases that you heard consistently every single day. That's how you learned. And that is an amazing way to learn even as an adult, because while you're listening, you're developing this active recall in your brain. You may hear a phrase that someone had said in Arabic, and then you will repeat that phrase in English throughout your day just by doing maybe mundane tasks. An example of this that I have faced is where I had heard a phrase which was ما فرق بين فصحى أو فصيحة أو فصوح, which is, what is the difference between fusha or fasiha, which was a video where someone had made about people who were saying, oh, it's not pronounced fusha, it's pronounced fasiha. And by making that video, I managed to understand the phrase ma faraqa bayna. So now I can ask questions. ما فرق بين هكذا وهكذا. What is the difference between this and that? What is the difference between this word and that word? ما فرق بين هذه الكلمة وذلك الكلمة. What is the difference between this word and that word? By just practicing like this, you can pick up so many new phrases. Now I'm going to recommend you 2 playlists to help you benefit in your Arabic learning. The first is by Sheikh Abdul Razak Al-Badr, in which he has a lot of Islamic lectures completely in Arabic, where you can understand the religion more and then pick up on some Islamic phrases. He mentions things like the Hadith of Jibreel and other things like that. The second is Sheikh Abdurrahman Hassan's videos on Ad-Da wa Dawa. This is amazing because he uses certain words while speaking English, and it would be probably better for beginners, because he'll say, for example, the first fa'ida is this, the first benefit is this, and then you can write that down and then understand that from when someone is speaking completely in Arabic, and then take notes from there. He'll also say other things like lakin. The main point here is that. So by hearing that word lakin, walakin, you can understand from there that it may mean but or however. And then you can write that down and then just use it in your day-to-day speech while you're learning Arabic. Now on the topic of Islamic knowledge, if it is time for the salah, go and pray. It is way more important than watching this video. However, if you are kind of struggling with the salah and you're not really praying it on time and you're kind of delaying it too much, or you might miss it, there is this new app that I believe could be really helpful for you. It literally gives you notifications before and after salah so that you have no excuse not to pray on time. Now the app is called Just Pray, and in the reference section, if you put JALLOW, you can get 7 days off free. Now me personally, I don't like taking a lot of these sponsorships or whatever. I'm pretty much against them. But this one app I genuinely think is good for the ummah, and if you can become literally better at your salah by using this one app, then that's a good thing. That's something that you can benefit from. Now the next point is ChatGPT, and this actually originates from me being in this one community. And I remember them saying that people are just not being fluent. They're not able to understand Arabic or be able to speak it, mainly because people aren't making sentences. They aren't making a certain amount of sentences each day, either with their mouth by practicing it or by writing it down, which is where writing comes into play, because this is the writing section. So by not doing that, they weren't able to be able to speak Arabic quick enough. So for example, while someone's speaking to them, someone will be like, كيف حالك? And you'll be like, okay, what do I say to respond to that? أنا بخير. Like, it will take some time for them to respond to it. So by making lots of sentences each day, it can allow them to practice these phrases. Like for example, someone says to you, هل هناك أي موضوع نتكلم عنه? Now, that would be something that would take a lot of time for someone to respond to if they haven't practiced sentences enough. So the prompt that I will show you right now in ChatGPT will definitely explain to you how to do this. So as you can see here, the prompt is here and it's in the description. Literally, once you get an answer, copy it in Arabic on your notebook. And then once you've written down the Arabic phrases, then ask it to give you the English translations with the tashkil so that you can understand. The prompt is in the description. Now the next app is Anki, and this is really good because it utilizes this system that allows you to revise certain words throughout times of the day. This is my Anki right here. I don't know if you can see it, but if I put it into full screen, you can see that I have different words and different sections here. It would be probably better if I show you on the screen here. But as you can see here, I have this Murasala section, which covers a lot of the phrases that I've learned through either watching Instagram Reels or certain videos on YouTube. The moment I click on it, I can see the Arabic and English translation. The English is on the front of the card and the Arabic is on the back. On the back as well, I've included a voice note of me saying the phrase in Arabic, so that when I click on the video, I'm actually hearing it being said to me, so that I can actually maybe respond back by giving my own explanation to the answer if it's a question, or just repeating the phrase that has already been said. So for example, after I've used ChatGPT and I've written down these phrases and words, if there is a new word that I haven't came across before, or a new phrase, I can put it in this Anki and revise it throughout the day or any time that I am free. Now, the final point is organizing everything and having a schedule, which is the hardest part. Because now you have all of these techniques. You've found a teacher, you know how to revise, you have podcasts or things that you listen to, and then you also have a way to actively recall each of the words that you've learned. But how do I organize this throughout my day? How do I allocate certain amounts of time to practice? Well, definitely the first thing that I remember Sheikh Abdurrahman Hassan saying, which is very important, is that anybody that has high aspiration when it comes to learning Arabic will learn the language. That goes without a doubt. So you have to firstly come with high aspiration. I think it's called Mahimmatul Aliyah, but someone can correct me on that. Once you have high aspiration, that's the moment where you can start allocating more time to your studies, because you're going to be busy, okay? You're going to be in university, you're going to be working, you're going to be doing things. You can allocate time by doing the specific task that is easiest to do at that specific time. So let's say you wake up. The first thing that you can do is revise the words that you have learned previously from yesterday. So why not use some Anki to revise it? While you're going through your day, maybe you're walking to work, or you're in the car. Well, maybe while you're walking, because you can focus more, you can listen to phrases that are being said by people in the playlist or the podcast, like the playlist I had mentioned by Sheikh Abdurrazak Al-Badr. You can listen to that while walking to work. Another example is that with your ChatGPT that you're using to learn, you can sit down, put a certain amount of time throughout the day for this. While you're learning ChatGPT and you're putting in the prompts and everything, you can write them down and then start practicing those prompts by calling a friend and being like, hey, what's up? Let's practice these phrases together. Because obviously, if you want to be able to speak Arabic, you have to actually speak Arabic with a person. It's a non-brainer. It's something that is ma'roof, well known. So once you do that, that will be another way to further boost your learning. When it comes to Al-Arabiya Bayna Yadayk, for example, or your curriculum, you can allocate time by doing the homework that your teacher has set for you throughout the day. Or if you don't have any homework, you can just work on it by doing a certain amount each day, 1 page each day or something like that. But the most important thing that you have to focus on as someone who is just starting out, don't be overwhelmed. All of these things that I've mentioned is just something that I have been starting to use after maybe 1.5 years of learning Arabic. And even then, I wasn't the most consistent, because I thought I have to do everything in a fixed amount of days. I have to be fluent at this time, or I have to learn everything at this time. But that's not realistic. You're not going to become fluent by your own guessing, or by saying, okay, I'm going to be fluent in 4 years, in 3 years, in 2 years. It's something that just happens. And by being patient and understanding that everyone has their own routines, you can benefit from just having that mindset. So everything that I've mentioned just now about scheduling is something that you have to be diplomatic about. Create your own schedule that accustoms the amount of time that you can dedicate to Arabic each day. If it is 15 minutes, allocate a certain amount of the book, Al-Arabiya Bayna Yadayk, or any book, for those 10 minutes. And then for the 5 minutes, revise your Anki. It doesn't have to be something that you put in too much effort in and then you're killing yourself just to learn this language. It's good and it's nice. You want to maybe learn the language so that you can benefit others from it. Or the most important reason, and probably the best reason, without a doubt, is to understand the Quran. So definitely try this, implement these things. If you have any suggestions for me, let me know in the comments, inshallah. And I will see you soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.